Tanya, a senior growth marketer at Meritto. I welcome you all to this edition of Education Circuit by Meritto, where we host experts, thought leaders, and decision makers from across the global education ecosystem. In this series, we dive deep into the latest insights, emerging trends, and proven best practices that are shaping the future of education. Over the past sessions, we have had the privilege of hosting incredible voices from institutions like Clark Atlanta University, Boston University, De Montfort University, Abu Dhabi University, Sunway University, Asia Pacific University, All Dominion University, and many more. And today promises to be just as insightful. And for those who don't know, Meritto is the global standard in enrollment technology for colleges and universities. We believe that admissions teams shouldn't have to navigate complex systems or struggles with outdated tools in an AI driven world where speed and precision are essential. That's why Meritto stands out with a purpose built solution designed for admission professionals, not tech experts. With its intuitive interface, robust data architecture, and AI driven automation, Meritto empowers institutions to recruit smarter, engage students more effectively, and streamline the entire admissions journey. Today's conversation focuses on a truly timely and exciting theme shaping the next generation of UE higher ed with AI. The UAE has set some of the world's most ambitious goals for AI adoption. Its national strategy for AI 2031 is reshaping how universities think about academic modules, research, and student experience. As competition intensifies and learners become more AI aware, institutions must rethink how they attract, engage, and support students in an intelligence driven era. To help us explore all of this, I'm thrilled to welcome our guest speakers. First, Dr. David. Dr. David serves as the head of educational program development at the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence, one of the world's first graduate level AI exclusive universities. He brings deep expertise in academic innovation, curriculum design, and the evolving intersection of AI and higher education. We're delighted to have you with us, Dr. David. And joining us with an industry wide perspective is Shabazz Siddiqui, Director for International Business at Meritto. With over a decade of experience working with 1,000 plus institutions across the UAE, India, and Southeast Asia, he's helped universities navigate digital transformation, predict market dynamics, and build AI ready enrollment ecosystems. Welcome, Shabazz.
Thank you, Tanya, for the introduction. Hi, Dr. David. Good afternoon. And good afternoon, everyone who has joined us.
Hi, everybody.
Now, to set the stage, I'd like to begin with Dr. David. Dr. David, before we dive into the bigger themes for today, I'd love to start on a lighter note. So, MBZUAI is such a unique and high energy environment, a place where cutting edge research, new program developments, and fast moving innovation all come together. So, what does a typical day look like for you as head of educational program development at a fully AI focused university?
The day is very busy. We have all sorts of things going on all day long. So sometimes we are designing new programs. Sometimes, like this morning, I was talking to 190 teachers at a school in Dubai. So I just came back for this Meritto event. So it was a bit full on. Sometimes we are trying to create or draft a new policy related to the use of something, for example, generative AI for our students or for our staff. Another day we are trying to fix a solution on our CMS or on our LMS. Sometimes we create workshops or design workshops for staff related to what we peer observed, and we're trying to find a solution to one of their issues. So yeah, it's never a dull day. It's always a new thing to do.
Right, that's wonderful. It's always fascinating to hear, what a day looks like for such leaders. Now, moving forward, AI is projected to contribute over like $96 billion to UAE economy by 2030, according to PwC's report. So, placing universities at the center of national transformation. So, I just like to know from your vantage point, how is the UAE's national strategy for AI 2031 shaping the way universities rethink academy models, research priorities, and talent development at MBZUAI?
Well, first of all, we need to remind everybody about the objectives of that policy. There were eight core principles and core objectives for this policy. Okay, the first one is building a global reputation for AI. I don't think we are the only ones to do that at MBZUAI, but I think we contribute a great deal to this with the models that we are launching and with the research that I think is impacting a lot of people theoretically and practically. So that's one thing. We are also surrounded, when you have the first AI university, we are also surrounded by other big companies around here in the ecosystem in Masdar City. And we have, your NVIDIA, we have a TII, we have OpenAI, etc., etc. So we are building this global reputation, and then we are now in all the charts around the world. UAE is on the map related to artificial intelligence, and that's great. Second, the second objective was to increase competitiveness in priority sectors, and this is the research that our staff, faculty, researchers are doing related to healthcare. As we speak, there is an event just outside talking about those topics: healthcare, education, transport, energy. We're talking about energy at the back, about AI deployment. So our researchers are trying to tackle those issues very, very quickly. And that's important using AI. Third, we're talking about attracting and training next generation talent pool. And that's also what we're trying to do with the upskilling and the reskilling. There's a lot of demand across the world about this. This morning was part of this when I was at the school talking about, how generative AI can impact education in the school context. And finally, another one of the key core objectives, I think, of this policy is to bring the world-class research capabilities. And this is what we're doing at MBZUAI. We're bringing the top researchers in their fields, and we are sending all our students, undergrad or graduate students, to the top conferences on the planet related to artificial intelligence. So I think this policy, this national strategy has influenced a lot of other universities. We are not alone here. Other programs have been launched in universities like Khalifa or Zayed or Canadian University, etc. So the more the merrier, as we say. And I hope our university here can inspire other universities to launch world-class programs, not only in the UAE, but in the global north and in the global south.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. David. That gives us a powerful foundation for today's conversation. So, Shabazz, continuing with you, you've been working closely with institutions across region. What do you feel are the major challenges universities face in, predicting demand, building program appeal, and if we even talk about reaching students who are increasingly AI aware? So, what is your perspective here?
So in my experience, what I have seen across UAE or MENA region here, universities are navigating, if I have to formulate it into three major key challenges. First is unpredictability of the demand. So student expectations are shifting faster than ever. With AI coming to picture, micro credentials and new career pathways are influencing the programs that the students are going to perceive. It's not the traditional programs that they used to perceive. Now they want to know what is there in the future for them, right? When the buzz is there that AI is going to replace or automate most of the work that we have been doing traditionally. So they are mostly not relying on historical patterns while they are exploring what is there in the near future, why they should opt for a particular program. So that is the unpredictability of demand. The second is defining, or let's say differentiating the programs that a particular organization is offering. Because most of the organizations that you see are giving the same type of content in terms of AI, right? So for them, it's very much important to understand, what is there from the industry lens for them, right? What skills they're gonna gain, what job it's gonna lead them to, right? What industry they're gonna be going at, whether it's gonna be entrepreneurship or it's gonna be existing industry where they can bring some new technology with the use of AI, which is there in picture. So this is the second thing. Third thing that I think is, student expect a lot of personalization. Today's generation, right, are not the one who are looking for the generic response from any of the university, right? They are the AI generation. So whatever response they're expecting is instant, should have clarity, and the communication should be tailored based on, or should be tailored based on the goals that the particular student is looking for to achieve from that particular university. So it could be anything, right? Rather than using fragmented systems that typically universities are using, right? Which could be different, CRMs or different recruitment teams working in silos. The students want a response from an ecosystem that is highly driven by AI and more hyper personalized. So, for example, if I've interacted with a lot of students and I've interacted with a lot of faculty members, so students say that if I'm going to pursue my AI program from this particular organization or any program for that matter, is that organization really adopting to that particular technology themselves, or are they still using the traditional approach and then claiming that they're gonna train me or they're gonna educate me on AI when they are themselves not adopting to it? So these are the three major key challenges that I think are there in the MENA region.
Absolutely, Shabazz, very true. And I'm sure that most of the leaders, across the UAE would definitely agree with you here. So, moving on, surveys show like 70% of graduate learners now expect AI powered hands-on learning experiences rather than, the current lecture models that we are using. So, Dr. David, my question is to you as a head of educational program development at, an AI first university. So, what shifts are you seeing in what today's learners expect from graduate programs?
Yeah, and I agree with what you just said. Unfortunately, the lecture is still is still the norm in many universities. But our graduate students, and I'm not criticizing lectures. Lectures can be good and can be facilitating learning as long as they are active, as there is interaction inside the classroom, and this is what we should aim for. It cannot just be a one-way communication, and I still see that when I go across the world, that people are still lecturing that way. So with the unprecedented pace of change, and as Shabazz pointed out, students are expecting different things nowadays, and they are expecting top-notch latest research. You cannot just take the microwave and reheat what you have done last semester. So gone are the days where you could recycle most of the materials and put it back for the next semester, because things are changing so fast, particularly in our fields, that you have to change the entire curriculum. And before it was okay, let's change it once a year. Now you have to change it almost every semester, and even within the semester, you need to change things. So this gives an additional pressure to a lot of faculty members, not in all the disciplines. Of course, if you're talking about history and what Napoleon did and whatever, it doesn't change that much. But if you're in NLP or computer vision or things related to robotics, it changes so quickly, and so many things are being published at the same time by many countries, by many researchers. You have, sometimes at some conferences, you have 15,000 papers being submitted. So how can you read that, and how can you integrate that into your courses? So it's a lot of changes that need to happen. Another thing that students are expecting is practical examples. They want to know what we are doing, it's for what. So theory is great, and I'm not against it, but people want to know, what can I do with this particular research in terms of applications and practical examples from the faculty. Another thing that is good also, it's when most of the programs have internships, so the internships have to be valuable. They have to be relevant to the students. As Shabazz mentioned, sometimes a student is doing something, but nowadays everything is, a lot of the stuff that students do is very interdisciplinary. You just don't do AI. You do AI for healthcare. You do AI for robotics. And when you do AI for robotics, it also includes a computer vision. It also includes language, which is NLP. So a lot of people need to work together. So a lot of teamwork has to be implemented within the classroom for students to be able to, when they graduate, get the job, but also they have been working on those transferable skills within the programs. And finally, and my last point, universities, they're not famous for their flexibility. So when they are launching a program, sometimes the program is already obsolete. So because it takes a lot of time to design the program, send it to the accreditation, the regulators take some time, and that's normal. But, so increase the flexibility, the entry and the exit pathways is great. But you need to increase the speed of designing the programs and getting them accredited, so students get the latest research and the latest content.
Absolutely agreeing with you, sir. Like both of you have mentioned this, that learner expectations today are evolving, and that too faster than ever. So, in that context, I was just reading something a few days back, and a number that took my mind was 65% of students, are abandoning applications when digital experiences feel fragmented or slow. So, Shabazz, if you could answer this, where do you see the biggest gaps in student experience during enrollments today? Like, how can AI help universities deliver more personalized, more seamless journeys to students?
Absolutely. So in my experience and what we have seen in the industry, right? When we talk about AI readiness, it's isn't just about deploying a tool. In my opinion, it's about building a foundation that allows AI to work responsibly and sustainably for that particular organization. So if you have to talk about why the students are dropping off, so one of the core reasons could be they are not having a clean unified data infrastructure. That means the student data is fragmented into CRM, SIS, LMS, right? There are multiple tools which are having the data, but that data you're unable to do the predictive analysis out of that, because when you have to guide a student, right, related to what they want to perceive, you would want that data to come into a single platform. So that is one thing that I think is lagging, which might be responsible for this. Then it's also important to define the clean use cases that an institute or a university want to prioritize. So instead of asking, many of the universities or many of the people do ask, where can we use AI, or what tool we should use. Rather than that, they should ask where are the biggest student and staff friction point, and those are the pointers where they should start deploying the AI, so that it can bridge the gap between that and ensure that the drop of the students is not happening that. So the examples will be based on the different universities, right? Based on their own use cases. So it cannot be a generic tool that they can use. They should rather deploy the tool based on the use case that they're having, where they have to, ensure that the funnel of recruitment needs to be optimized or automated. So that is one. Another point that I think is important is governance and responsible AI practices, right? So policies around privacy, because we are talking about the confidential data of any of the particular student, right? In UAE, right, we follow PDPL compliance, we follow GDPR guidelines, right, and we follow SOC 2 guidelines. So PDPL compliances, right, is important that where are my sub processes, what type of data am I exposing to those particular LLMs, right? What are the guardrails that we are defining, so that we know that whatever AI we are implementing, how we can control it and make it more, feasible and more sustainable for that particular process. One more thing is there, capable, I think is capacity building for faculty and staff. So AI should not be, treated as a threat. Rather, we should train faculty members, like Dr. David was telling, in terms of adoption, right? The faculty members or the staff should get trained on it, because they are the ones who will be using it, and they are the ones who will be guiding the AI or training the AI on the use cases. So more human behavior should be there rather than the AI taking the independent decisions. It should be more human generated decision making that is guiding the AI in terms of taking the decisions, right? Another point could be, a lot of them are again lagging because they are stopping themselves from experimentation, or they're stopping themselves from doing some A/B testing. So I think any organization need not to have a very heavy investment in today's time in terms of implementing any of the AI tools. They can start with even the free tools that are available, right? And then do the experimentation and see how that is getting adopted within the organization, and what type of experience it's creating, or what type of value proposition it's bringing into the picture. And then probably they can go for a higher model. So there is, like we were discussing, most of the people, when you talk about AI, they resonated with ChatGPT, right? 80% of them. So that's not the only tool or not the only LLM which is there. There are a lot of LLMs with different expertise, right? There are open LLMs. You can even, if you want to control your LLM, you can even, get Llama for you, right? And you can train it and host it inside your campus itself, because that's the confidential data that you're getting. So a lot of tools are there that can be adopted for different perspectives, right? And that can help the particular organizations to ensure that the students are not dropping off, and then we are also giving a better experience to the particular candidates in a hyper personalized manner, which are guiding the students to take the next step in their career.
Well, absolutely, Shabazz. Thank you so much for sharing. That's a lot. I'm sure audiences are taking their notes. And just to remind everybody that this is a recorded session, so don't worry, you'll get the session recording post the webinar as well. And moving further, Dr. David, I'd like to know from you. So MBZUAI is often described as, reshaping the future of education, being the first AI artificial intelligence university. So, could you share specific examples of how AI is being embedded into curriculum designs, specifically in assessment models or academic operations there?
Yeah, one of the simple ways that we use AI, for example, is to have this AI plugin that we use in our LMS. So for faculty, they can create assignments, they can create pictures, they can create content, they can create quizzes, they can create all sorts of things. They can create images, all sorts of things. The students, they can summarize all the content from their courses if they wish to, etc. So that's a simple thing that you can start with, as Shabazz mentioned. Start simple. Don't do anything complicated to not scare people away. We have a lot of courses using AI, particularly in the undergraduate program. Our graduates are doing research on it. Undergraduates are using it. For example, if you go to our communications course, it's mostly generative AI everywhere to create their videos, their presentations, to create all their projects. So that's another thing, how they use it. It's not your regular old style communication course where you just talk about the concepts of communication. Okay. Our staff also is using it. For example, in marketing and communication, they're using generative AI to do their marketing materials. Or to edit their videos or content. We have our researchers using generative AI as well for some of the content to do qualitative or quantitative research. You have a lot of tools like, that you can use that many universities are using, and you are familiar with them, like Julius or Visly or whatever to visualize your data. We have also a big entrepreneurship program here. So we have an incubation center where the students can, the incubation center helps blend, theory and practicability with all the technical expertise that you need in artificial intelligence with the business insights to create startups. So we have a lot of in-house startups that have been launched here and facilitated by the incubation center. And we also have entrepreneurship courses for our students where they can use generative AI. We also have a winter school and a summer school where we invite secondary school students from across the UAE, where we're using all sorts of projects where they have to use from A to Z generative AI for a project related, for example, for the SDGs that you're also familiar with. We also created, our university or our Institute for Foundation Models launched a few of the tools that you probably heard of. JACE for Arabic, most recently K2 Think with a new upgrade a few days ago, and K2 Think is the competitor of OpenAI and Gemini, etc. But we had a hackathon like a few weeks ago. We invited teams from all over the world to find solutions to different things, and quite a few of the teams focused on education and solutions for the global south, so things related to mathematics or physics or whatever. So we are trying to make it very practical for people, and we have a very close relationship with OpenAI. You know that the boss of OpenAI just got his honorary doctorate from us. It was the first for him. And we rolled out ChatGPT 5 EDU for all staff, professional staff, all faculty, and all students. So we have training sessions that we designed in our office for all faculty, staff, and students to be able to use it. So it's open to everybody to use. And the more you use it, the more you get confident, the more you want to explore, the more you want to try. And we also have Tech Tuesdays where we bring faculty. We do a lot of peer observation of teaching. So we go to the classrooms, and even for hard science or whatever, math or whatever, where it's more traditional, whiteboard or blackboard and chalk or pen, those faculty come to us and say, oh, how can I integrate generative AI to do this and explain some concepts? Because I have a lot of content and stuff. So it's an ongoing conversation and trial and experimentation with our faculty and students here. to make it, to democratize it. It's no longer like, okay, there's a tool, and what do we do with this? So I hope I answered that question.
Absolutely. I must say that's a whole lot of opportunities for, students looking to future-proof their careers in with AI in the, this landscape. Now, forward. Shabazz, with universities increasingly, adopting AI copilots, chatbots, and workflow automation, and you've also mentioned about, the compliances like DPDP, GDPR, SOC 2 compliances. You've also talked about the guardrails that institutions must be aware of. So, if you could highlight more on this point, like what governance structures or guardrails should institutions establish, to ensure these systems enhance rather than replace human expertise?
Absolutely. This is such an important point because governance often determines whether AI is going to be truly successful or not. So, in my opinion, like you rightly said, the goal of AI in higher education should never be replacement. It should be augmentation. For that, the institution need, and if I have to summarize it, there could be, three broader layer of governance that we can think of in terms of governing the AI success. The first one should be always a clear human in loop framework, right? Where AI can automate tasks, but it should not own the ultimate decisions. Universities should define which actions AI can take independently versus where human review is mandatory, right? So, for example, there might be a student who has given you a lot of documents, right? He might not be applicable, or let's say the AI might be telling that the student is at the borderline and should not be selected, but the ultimate decision can be taken by the particular faculty members or students once they do the human interaction based on the capability of that particular candidate and the learning curve of that. So that is one thing, right? AI may draft responses, but ultimate decision making should be from the counselors or the trainers, right, who are training this AI. And then ultimately, once your AI is giving you the efficiency of more than 80-90%, then you can leave it independent of it, right? One more example could be, AI may score the leads, flag a risk of student, right? But admission officer can make a decision of the same. The second could be, policy level guardrails for privacy, ethics, and transparency, right? So data privacy and consent, right? Where we should clearly define to the students or let's say the parents what type of data we are accessing of theirs, right? Where it's going to be processed and what is going to be the end result of it, so that they both are assured that they are, you as an institution, I'm following those guidelines. I'm taking a consent as well from the particular target audience or from the particular parents or students, right? Then there is, bias monitoring where you can have predictive checks to ensure models don't, disadvantage any of the demographic groups, right? So for that, you can define the guardrails, when it has to, use their own RAG analysis to take the decision, and when you want your LLM to go onto the open, web to get the information. So that RAG or, vector database is very much important, right? Even this is going to be one of the most important decisive factor when you are deciding any tool that you implement in your particular organization, right? The third, if I have to tell, could be a cross-functional AI governance committee. So it's crucial that AI should not only be in the hand of, let's say, IT or only the marketing department, right? So the governance should include every stakeholder that creates an impact on the student, right? It could be academics, right? IT security obviously is going to be there, admission and enrollment team, legal should always also be there, right? Or student affairs for that matter, right? The committee can, regulate or evaluate any new AI use cases, approve whether it's, approve its deployment. You can have regular audits. Structure, I think AI adoption becomes much more safer, strategic, and sustainable. So ultimately, AI should free people to do, what we say and what we have read in a lot of, conversations and podcasts to do more of what can excel at. That is mentorship, judgment, empathy, right? Well, the system takes care of the repetitive work, right? Guardrails aren't just about restricting AI; they are about elevating the human, expertise and then incorporating that in the repetitive work. So that's my opinion, in terms of governance of AI.
Well, absolutely, that's an important point that every education leader must remember when working with AI. So, moving forward, I was just thinking about what Dr. David mentioned about the opportunities and everything, like how students using AI tools for research, for coursework in different manners. So, one thing that stuck my mind is like we all say this usually that balancing AI assisted learning with academic integrity is way more important. So, Dr. David, I just want to know, do you allow full use of AI in assignments, or are there structured guidelines for responsible use? How do you do that?
We are in a very particular context because we have a lot of researchers here working, not only students, but other researchers and faculty. And developing a policy for a particular context is not easy. We cannot just take something off the shelf from another institution and say, okay, apply it here. First of all. Second, as the changes are crazy all day long, you cannot just have a policy that is cast in stone and is not updated, constantly. It has to change, it has to evolve. And another point that is very important, I think, is to involve as many stakeholders as possible in terms of consultations. There are policies, such as, for example, an AI policy cannot just be written by a couple of people. It has to be a lot of people, faculty involved, the stakeholders, as Shabazz just mentioned, have to be, included, their opinion and their perspective. So you have to talk to the registrar, you have to talk to the students, because sometimes we forget the students, but they are the ones that are going to be affected by the policy. You have to talk about to the researchers, you have to talk to the leadership and different people to be able to have a policy that makes sense. And I don't think it's often the case. It's usually drafted or recycled from somewhere else, and that's your policy. So that shouldn't be done. I'm sure you're familiar with Perkins, the one who created that thing, like no AI to full AI. Okay, so we somehow implement something like this unofficially in many courses. So some people would say to us, for example, or to the students, you cannot use AI because it's a coding course. You need to know how to code, and you cannot use AI. Sometimes they would say you can use AI for this particular thing, but you will have to declare because according to the policy, blah blah blah. So this is important to make this very clear from the start your courses. In some courses which are related to, for example, as I mentioned, communication, if there's a course related to entrepreneurship, a course related to engineering, at some point, and for some different assessment, you may have to use AI or you may not be able to use AI. And if it's clear, I don't think the students will be upset at this. So we are very flexible with this within the boundaries. We do not, to be honest, we do not have a lot of plagiarism cases. People are pretty clear about here. They declare when they used it, when they create a graphic, or when they use it for, to summarize something. Policy applies to everybody, including the researchers, including the staff working in different departments here, including the students, of course. So I think it should be applied to every single one, and everybody should be involved in this. Because it's not just for one, segment of the population. Everybody uses AI nowadays, so everybody should be included. And as long as it is transparent, the LLMs are not transparent in terms of how they keep the data, but as long as you are transparent, I think it makes everybody's lives better.
Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. Now, moving forward to the next leg of our conversation, I'd like to mention here a very great thing that I just read recently. It was in Gartner. Gartner predicted that in 2026, agentic AI will handle, up to like 20-22% of administrative student interactions. So, Dr. Dave, if you could just throw some light here as AI evolves into, more agentic systems that take initiative, collaborate like digital teammates. How do you see this trend influencing academic operations or even the student services?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So We have brilliant students here. We are trying to recruit the best students that we can around the world. And two of our brilliant students created a kind of an admission agent called Lawa AI. It was presented the other day at GITEX, I think. So they work work with people from NLP, etc. And we actually it's on our website. You can lawa.ai. And instead of having very static responses, you say, okay, what's the color of this? It's blue. It actually reasons and thinks and look at all the policies, look at all the admission requirements and all the things that you need to be able to answer, the questions of students coming from anywhere on the planet related to how to get into the university in terms of what sort of exam, what sort of plan do I need, etc. So this is an in-house developed tool made by our students. It's great. So it's happening very, very quickly. What we did the other day in our Tech Tuesdays is, for example, to show for different disciplines how to create your own agent. So we use free available tools and we demystify it for faculty who are sometimes experts in their fields, but they're not experts in how to design an AI agent or a chatbot or an app or whatever. So we show them how to create an agent, for example, how to do to help you with your qualitative research, or how to create an agent for your course related to mathematics or statistics, so the students can have specific answers to their questions 24/7 instead of banging on your door or sending you a WhatsApp at midnight. So we show them the step-by-steps. So it's moving towards this very, very quickly, where a lot of the things that we used to do manually or having a lot of staff doing will be automated with AI agents and apps and chatbots. Some of them are already doing that. And we are trying to develop all these products in-house because we have the expertise. Our students have the expertise. And they can commercialize it, so it's actually pretty good for them too. Instead of in terms of support and in terms of funding, etc., etc. So yeah, a lot of people are also collaborating, with tools like Notion AI in terms of teams online. For example, to automate some of the functions, automate their calendars and stuff like that. So a lot of available tools are out there. The Slacks of the world, the Notion AI of the world, are there to help your teams work better, faster, more efficiently. And it's happening not only in companies, but it's happening in universities. Not everywhere, because sometimes, as we all mentioned, there's not enough upskilling going on. But if they bring people like us to talk to their teams, we can help them implement those tools or workflow.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Shivas, what is your perspective here? Like, what do you would like to share about agentic AI, scaling support and outcomes for the organizations?
So I think, like Dr. David rightly said, right, it's all about empowering your teams because they know the use cases that they want to automate, right? So once you empower them, once you train them, right, it becomes a very easy thing for them, right? It could be the smallest of the tools, like Dr. David mentioned, could be automating your calendar, or it could be even a simple chatbot where you have made it a subject expert that can answer the queries of the candidate on runtime basis for that particular subject. So it's also very simple problem statement, but it's a very effective tool when you look from the lens of a student or from the lens of a faculty member, right? And imagine if such a simple tool that can give hyper personalized communication to a particular student available 24 into 7, right? That will definitely enhance the skill set of the particular candidates who are pursuing those particular things, as well as the faculty members are also getting adopted for the functions related to the universities. So, in my perspective, like Dr. David rightly said, it's all about empowering your team, right, and not making them frightened from AI. So that's how empowerment will come. They will understand. Obviously, the major policies or the guardrails are something that are defined by the university. So following those guidelines, whatever things that you are defining within themselves, even of a smallest of a function that is automating even a 5-minute task, is a success for any of the organization that want to encourage or adopt AI in their organization.
Absolutely. Now, Shabazz, given everything you've seen across markets, what's the one piece of advice you'd give UAE education leaders who are, looking to strengthen their enrollment strategy in the age of AI in coming years?
So my advice on this point would be, treat AI not just as a technological investment, but
Mhm.
rather as an institutional capability, right? Most enrollment challenges that we've seen in the market are slow funnels, right? Inconsistent communication, right? Unclear program positioning, right? Aren't solved by tools alone. In my opinion, they are solved when universities build the underlying capabilities that makes AI more effective, right? Which could be, clean, unified data that tells a single story about each student, right? And
Mhm.
that will guide for hyper personalized response or guidance to that particular prospect, right? Teams empowered to use AI responsibly and creatively, right? Could be the smallest of function like creating a brochure, right? Or right, even a smallest of function that giving footnotes of a particular lecture, right? Clear governance so that AI augment human decisions, right? Not replace them, so that people will not fear that, though there is a lot of buzz in the market, but we still think that you know, and a lot of research papers and a lot of AI, godfathers who have created LLM also said that AI cannot replace the human capabilities, right, in terms of decision making, empathy, right. So that's always going to be the core things that humans will do, right. So AI will help you to, focus more on the things which makes more sense or impact to the society rather than, falling into the loop of day to day tasks, right. And like Dr. David rightly said, create a culture that embraces experimentation and continuous improvement. So there is a theory, or you can say, there is something that when we were also creating our AI tool, right, for education, we realized that 7 out of 10 companies in AI will fail, right, and that's what is going to happen. That's why people are, some of them are betting against the AI as well in the market. So those are the things that are going to happen, but these are part and parcel of life, in my opinion, right? The universities that will lead the next decade in the UAE or any of the market are those that invest in these foundations today. Those who wait for the risk of becoming followers in the market that's evolved rather than those who are following them, right? In this such fast paced evolving market.
Well, thank you so much. That's very simple and strategic. And, like if the leaders follow this, highly actionable for them. Now, Dr. David, if you were advising a UAE university or how to stay competitive over the next 5 years, say, so what would be the top two AI related capabilities, they must start building immediately, according to you?
First and foremost, invest in your staff, invest in the people. It always starts with the people. People just go all the way, the all way around. They just start with the tool, but it's not true. Okay, you cannot just take a tool and just put it there and then people will use it. You have to start with upskilling or reskilling your staff, and that's the most important. And it's always, as Shabazz mentioned, is the human in the loop, the human making the final decision. So we have to start with the people. Okay. And if you look at why, one of the reasons why it fails in many companies and in many institutions is because they didn't start like this. Second, I think if you were to invest in a tool, if you were to design your own in-house tool, let's say you buy an off-the-shelf tool that sometimes we do buy, like a curriculum management system. Spend the time with a team of people that have some expertise or some different perspective to tailor make this off-the-shelf tool for your needs. We talked about that today. If I am teaching geography, it has nothing to do with teaching mathematics. There's teaching there, but it's a different discipline. And if I am in finance, it doesn't. The needs that of the tool that I have are different from when I'm working in marketing and or if I'm working in procurement. So spend the time with the vendor, spend the time with the people designing those tools, because those who design those tools, they are not in education. Mostly they are techies, and nothing against techies, with all due respect, but they don't ask a discipline with LLM that is going to answer questions and research that we've been doing on different disciplines. If you don't have an expertise there, if you're not a medical doctor and the LLM answers the question and you do not know if they are going to take it at face value, but why is it wrong? Because it has not been a design with the input of medical doctors, and not only one. It has to be different disciplines. So spend the time. Even if the vet doesn't like it, or you become a pain in the butt, sorry for the expression, for our curriculum management system, for example, we are still ongoing with them, and we have been working with them for the last year and a half to tailor make it for us, for our specific context, which was number one, the UAE. They never entered the market here. They're Australian. Second, some of the templates that we need related to things that they never heard of in Australia, like, for example, a course file. They don't know what it was. Our own programs that change, in terms of length of weeks. It's not 15 weeks, sometimes it's 7 weeks. So now is a new template. All the things related to what the registrar is requiring in our specific context for an undergraduate program that we just launched. So they didn't have that one, even though they are selling that to universities in Australia, etc., until we are happy. And we continue the conversation with them because we are still launching different things, new templates, new policies that have to be in the CMS, and it was not a component or an option that they had. So staff capability, and second, include a lot of people in the development of or the improvement of the tools that you buy. Now, we know, and Shabazz mentioned that in many companies it fails because they buy off-the-shelf tools. And I can give you an example of a place I was doing a workshop at the other day when they used a tool that I will not name. And I said, is it working for you? And they say, no. And I say, why did you buy it? It's because it's from a big company and it doesn't work for any of them. I think there was only one guy happy with it, was the IT guy. The other 50 people in the room, nobody used it because it's not working for them. But it has been implemented in the company, but nobody wants to use it because it doesn't work for them, because they just use the general capabilities of the tool. And as we mentioned today, some tools work very well for something, some tools do not work very well for something. So let's take ChatGPT 5. You want to make an image, and if you don't know how to make an image or generate an image, the image will be full of typos, full of mistakes, even though we're talking about the latest model of GPT-5. Other ones are better. It could be Nano Banana, but Nano Banana, if you don't know how to prompt, then you get a very bad image as well. You can use Leonardo AI, and then you can create amazing pictures, etc., etc. So sometimes people get frustrated, or they get, they get nervous because they say, I'm using that, and this is what my company wants me to use, but it doesn't work for them. So they start using tools that they do not want to declare to their companies. And they start putting things like what Shabazz mentioned, their ID card numbers, their bank records, whatever. And since we don't know where it goes, they're putting the company and themselves individually at risk.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely, sir. Excellent. You've mentioned the points that I would say that for universities preparing for the next decade, these are really essential. Now, I was so deep down in the conversation, but we have to wrap up it on time, respecting both of your times. So I'd just like to ask one common question from both of you. So first, Dr. David can answer, and then Shabazz can continue. So finally, what is the one mindset shift each of you believe higher ed leaders must embrace to, truly prepare their institutions and their students for an innovation-driven future? So what is that mindset?
I am a Star Wars fan, but I'm going to quote Star Trek. Okay, so sorry about that. And in Star Trek, you have a sentence that always starts. It says, to boldly go where no man or one has gone before. And this means go beyond the boundaries of it. Don't be afraid. We mentioned that a few times today. Try, explore, experiment, get the right people to guide you, specifically if they are students and young students in schools or whatever. Get the right people to stop the blah blah and all this. We have this UNESCO, ECD, and whatever. Very interesting, but how does it work for me in my context, in my school, in my discipline, for my assessment, for the problem that I have. And you need to find those right trainers, and they are not easy to find. A lot of people speak, but not a lot of people can help you solve your problems. So you need to find those rare, rare specimen, and and continue experimenting. It's here to stay. It sounds like a cliche sentence, but it's here to stay. It's gonna evolve. It's gonna change. It's very hard to catch up sometimes, but if you have the right people to help you, don't be afraid, and help, and use it with your kids. Create a story. Create some music with your kids using generative AI. Your kid likes Picasso or likes Velasquez. Let's create a painting, using generative AI. Let's make it fun. Let's create a little book that I can read at night with you, etc. Work together, because the kids are using it now in schools. So it's very good to have this conversation at home and practice together, because the parents can learn a lot from them. So go beyond, your frustration and your fear, and try and explore.
That's a great one, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Shabazz, up to you.
Absolutely, in lines with what Dr. David said, right? I think the biggest mindset shift is moving from protecting legacy processes to continuously reinventing them, right? That's going to be the important key. For decades, I think higher education has been built on stability, fixed programs, fixed calendars, fixed pathways. But students today are entering a world, I think which is rapidly evolving in terms of skill set, because every next month you are getting an upgraded version of your LLMs. Like we're talking about GPT, also we are right now at 5, right? And you don't know what's gonna be changing, right? New and I think there are new career models, right? AI enabled workplaces, like Dr. David said, there organizations adopting to those tools, and there's going to be constant change. So now, in order to prepare, right, I think leaders must embrace a culture where experimentation is encouraged, right? Obviously, it should be led by data informed decisions, right? And technology should always be seen as a collaborator, and programs evolve as fast as industry does. That's, I think, is something that we can talk about in terms of, innovation driven future when it comes to the mindset shift that's going to happen very soon, and it has to be adopted. You may not like it, but like Dr. David said, AI is there. It's going to be there, right? Longer duration. So embrace it, adopt it, use it to the fullest of the capabilities, both at individual level, at organization level. And once you start doing that, you reinvent the wheel and you'll start enjoying it. And that's definitely gonna give you, a lot of value in your lives and save a lot of your time, which you can spend with your family, right? Human interactions which are going down can again increase. You can have fun activities like Dr. David mentioned with your families, peers, colleagues. That's is going to happen.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. David and Shabazz, for sharing, such clear and practical perspectives today. It was a great conversation. I loved it thoroughly, and I hope our audience did so. What really stood out is that AI is no longer, just a future concept for UAE higher ed. It's becoming like a core driver of how universities design programs, support the students, and even stay competitive for that matter throughout the globe. So, from aligning with the UAE's national AI vision to rethinking student journeys and building responsible governance, today's discussion has highlighted the capabilities institution needs to start strengthening, how to prepare for the next decade. So, thank you so much for that. And to our audience, thank you for joining us. The session has been recorded and we'll be sharing the link with you shortly. We look forward to seeing you in the upcoming editions of Education Circuit by Meritto. Have a great day. Have a great day, sir. Thank you for joining us today. Looking forward to another great conversation with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shabazz.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Cheers. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.